Alaska is the largest state in the United States, spanning over 663,000 square miles. This state is bigger than Texas, California, and Montana combined. You could fit Germany, France, and the United Kingdom inside Alaska and still have room left over. And yet, despite its sheer scale, Alaska is home to around 740,000 people in 2025. That's about the population of Detroit, spread across an area larger than 22 entire U.S. states combined. The population density is around 1.1 people per square mile. That's not just low, it's the lowest in the country. Most of Alaska isn't just rural, it's completely wild, with vast stretches of tundra, glaciers, mountain ranges, and forests that see more moose than people. Some areas are so remote they're only reachable by bush plane or boat. To really put Alaska's emptiness into perspective, let's compare it to Chicago, a major American city that already feels crowded to most. Chicago has a population density of about 12,000 people per square mile. If you applied that same density to Alaska's 665,000 square miles, the state could theoretically hold nearly 8 billion people, roughly the entire population of the Earth. Why Alaska is so empty? There are many reasons why Alaska remains the least populous state in the United States, including a combination of geography, climate, economics, and logistics, all of which contribute to why many people don't want to live in the state. Reason 1. Geography. Much of Alaska is defined by rugged mountain ranges, expansive tundra, dense boreal forests, permafrost, wetlands, and massive glaciers. These landscapes are visually stunning but extremely difficult to traverse, settle, or build upon. Unlike most U.S. states, Alaska has very few highways and many towns and villages are completely cut off from the road system. In fact, more than 80% of communities in Alaska are not connected by road at all. They rely on boats, planes, or snowmobiles for travel and supplies. The sheer remoteness of much of the state makes it challenging to build infrastructure, provide public services, or support large populations. This isolation has a domino effect. Without roads, it becomes exponentially more difficult and expensive to build homes, schools, hospitals, or even deliver mail and groceries. Simply put, much of Alaska is wild, empty space, beautiful but inhospitable to large-scale settlement. Reason 2. The weather. The weather of Alaska is another major factor limiting its population. Winters are long, severe, and often unforgiving, especially in the interior and northern parts of the state. In places like Fairbanks, winter temperatures regularly plunge below -30 degrees Fahrenheit, and in Arctic regions such as Utkagvik, it can drop to -50 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. Cold like this isn't just uncomfortable, it becomes a daily hazard. What makes it worse is the lack of sunlight. Many parts of the state, especially above the Arctic Circle, endure extended periods of darkness in the winter. For example, Utkagvik doesn't see the sun for over 2 full months between November and January. These intense seasonal conditions drive up the cost of heating, limit opportunities for construction and agriculture, and make transportation unreliable, especially in rural areas. Outdoor labor and travel are heavily restricted during winter, which can last from October to April in some regions. Reason 3. Wildlife. Alaska's geography isn't just remote, it's wild in the truest sense. Much of the state is dominated by untamed wilderness, home to large populations of bears, moose, wolves, and other wildlife that often roam close to human settlements. Encounters with bears on hiking trails or even in residential neighborhoods aren't uncommon, and moose can wander onto roads or into backyards, posing real dangers. In some villages, residents must carry firearms or bear spray just to walk to school, fish, or pick berries. And children are often taught from an early age how to avoid attracting or startling wildlife. While this rich wildlife is part of what makes Alaska so unique and beautiful, it also adds an element of risk and unpredictability to daily life that discourages some people from settling there, especially those more accustomed to urban or suburban environments. Reason 4. Isolation. Another reason why there are few people living in Alaska is isolation. Many towns and villages are completely cut off from the road system, accessible only by plane, boat, or snowmobile, especially in the winter months. Even in larger cities like Juneau, the state capital, there are no roads connecting it to the rest of Alaska. You either fly or take a ferry to get in or out. Unlike any other U.S. state, Alaska does not border any of the other 49 states. It's physically separated from the rest of the country by thousands of miles of Canadian territory. To drive from the continental U.S. to Alaska, you must cross an international border and travel through Canada for over 1,000 miles. This isolation affects everything. Travel is expensive and time-consuming, shipping goods is costly, and access to healthcare or emergency services can be delayed, especially in bad weather. Social isolation is also common, as distances between communities are vast, and winters can keep people indoors for long periods. For many, the combination of physical remoteness and emotional solitude makes Alaska a difficult place to live, and one that requires a deep sense of independence and resilience. Reason 5. Cost of living. The cost of living in Alaska is not just high. In many areas, it's prohibitively expensive, especially compared to the rest of the United States. This is largely due to the state's geographic isolation, limited infrastructure, and extreme climate, all of which make it challenging and costly to deliver goods and services. In most parts of the lower 48, food, fuel, and household items can be trucked in easily and in bulk. In Alaska, however, especially in rural and off-road communities, those same goods must often be flown in by cargo planes, barged in during the short summer window, or shipped through Canada and across vast distances. These logistical hurdles translate into shockingly high prices. Fresh produce is often scarce, with limited variety and questionable quality, especially in the winter months. Fuel prices are also extreme, with heating oil, gasoline, and propane costing far more than the U.S. average, particularly in areas unreachable by road. Housing is also expensive, not necessarily because of demand, but because of the high cost of construction. Additionally, homes must be built to withstand harsh weather conditions, including deep frost lines, high winds, and heavy snow loads, adding complexity and cost. So, why did Americans still buy Alaska from Russia even though it had harsh conditions? After everything we've covered, the bone-deep cold, the months of darkness, the grizzlies in your backyard, and groceries that cost more than your car payment, it's fair to ask, why did the U.S. even buy this place in the first place? The answer is vision. In 1867, the United States saw more than just frozen tundra. They saw opportunity. Russia was eager to sell, and for just $7.2 million, which meant just 2 cents an acre, America gained a territory twice the size of Texas. Strategic location, vast natural resources, and the chance to push westward influence into the Pacific, Alaska checked all the boxes for a young nation hungry to grow. At the time, people called it Seward's Folly. But fast forward a few decades, and Alaska turned out to be rich in gold, oil, fish, and raw beauty. Harsh? Absolutely. But that's never stopped America before.